My name is Deepinder Mayell, and I am the director of the Refugee and Immigrant Program at the Advocates for Human Rights. The region of Central America is overrun right now. There are transnational cartels and gangs that run the region and operate as de facto states, and they rule with impunity. They utilize brutal violence, and they use join or die principles. They are recruiting young boys as child soldiers and young girls as sex slaves. We have heard reports that gangs are going into schools and getting attendance lists of children as their new recruits. They will extort money from local businesses as well as government institutions, and if they do not get what they want, they have been known to abduct people, to maim people, to chop up bodies and leave body parts on people's front doorsteps, to rape young girls in front of their families. Truly, this is some of the most brutal violence happening in the world today. These children and families are typically traveling through Mexico, and many of them will travel along the top of a train called the Beast through the region. They will hold on to the top of this train for dear life. They will pass through remote regions. They will be subjected to extreme weather. They will go through gang-infested territories where they may be held for ransom, where they may be robbed, where they may be raped. Many of these migrants fall from the top of this train. Many lose their limbs, and many lose their lives. And what will they face? These are refugees who are entitled to protections based on international law and treaty that were developed after World War II to ensure that people fleeing persecution weren't turned back to certain death. This refugee flow is like many other refugee flows. When we see a war-torn region or a place where the state has fallen apart and people are starting to be persecuted and targeted but based on who they are, we are seeing the same thing out of this refugee flow. They are no different, Central American children and families are no different than Syrian refugees or Afghani refugees. And we have to remember that in comparison to those crises, this is a small crisis. Syria has over 2 million refugees, and a country as small as Jordan has taken nearly 700,000. Whereas here, the refugee flow for 2014 was about 75,000 unaccompanied children, many of which who are reuniting with family that's already here in the United States. There's an additional 75,000 of children with families who are also reuniting with family that already is here in the United States. This is not a crisis. This is something that the United States can handle, that has the resources to handle, and is internationally obligated to handle. We are representing children and families in these asylum cases in immigration court. We are taking cases for teenage mothers with young children. We are taking cases for young children traveling alone. We are taking cases for domestic violence victims, for gang recruits, for people fleeing persecution based on their religion or their political association. And we are representing these cases from start to finish. We are preparing cases for impact-based change and systemic change. We are preparing cases for appeal on all levels of the court, including the Supreme Court. We need your support. These refugees, these children, they need your support. And when you support an asylum seeker, you have the opportunity to save somebody's life. You have the opportunity to take somebody and give them legal status in this country. Let them come out of the shadows. Let them not be deported to a country where they may face certain death, where they can become healthy members of our community and vibrant members of our community.